Now, what are these global capability centers, and how could they just suddenly come into prominence here, Ruchi?
Hi, Rish. Good morning. In fact, for nearly 4 decades, India has been the back office of the world, providing support operations such as call centers for various multinational companies. Now, these businesses have evolved a lot more. They're doing much more sophisticated, complex work, getting into research and development and product innovation for various industries, from finance to pharmaceuticals. They once started out as these low-cost centers, but not anymore, because they're driving innovation for many of these big companies, so much so that India is now home to the likes of Goldman Sachs, Rolls-Royce, you name it, Victoria's Secret, all the big names in India. In fact, India is home to about 1,600 such global capability centers. They're contributing to about close to 1% of India's GDP. And what is quite interesting is that this is leading to some sort of a structural shift in India's economy. And it started coming into prominence with the kind of rise that we saw in services exports. In December of last year, these numbers started showing a massive spike. And what is quite interesting in that in the last fiscal year alone, we've seen services exports for India rising almost 27%, coming in at $323 billion. As I said, many economists are saying that this is going to lead to a structural shift in the economy, help in improving India's trade deficit, India's current account deficits as well, and prop up the currency in the long run that has been depreciating for many years. But yes, this is leading to a structural shift of sorts in the economy, and global capability centers have really redefined the way how back offices in India were looked upon earlier.
Ruchi, you've listed out all the beneficial effects these centers or this area of growth is having for the economy and jobs. But what could potentially risk depressing growth when it comes to GCCs as they've come to be known now?
Well, Menika, you very rightly pointed out that this growth is going to be fraught with risks going forward, because one of the biggest concerns in this growth cycle that we're seeing for global capability centers is the lack of skilled labor. And this despite almost 34% of the students in India at the university level taking up subjects such as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, despite India having such a big thriving startup ecosystem, or the third biggest in the world. We're seeing that we do not have enough, the country does not have enough skilled and trained people. They have to be trained and retrained, and this is leading to a war for good talent. That has become the biggest concern, a biggest risk as far as the rise of global capability centers is concerned. The second biggest risk is the risk that it poses to various cities. For example, Bengaluru in India, India's Silicon Valley, that houses nearly 30% of such global capability centers. We're seeing very weak infrastructure in that city, and that could potentially hurt the growth. While industry bodies such as NASSCOM are looking at other centers such as Gurugram, Pune, Hyderabad as alternatives, but the fact that Indian cities are not able to cope up with such a big rise and the influx of companies coming into the country, that is another risk. And of course, if we do see offshoring of jobs becoming another big issue when the U.S. presidential race heats up, that could be the third big concern that such global capability centers will have to deal with in the months and years to come.
The war for talent is one issue driving up costs. It's also about employability of new grads. How might that play out? How will that weigh on the problems already?
We have written about it, Haslinda, in the past that employability of young graduates is a concern. And as I pointed out, despite 34% of the students taking up science, technology, engineering, and mathematics at the university level, the country is not able to find enough good people in the workforce. This is leading to a rise in the war for good talent. We do not have enough people who can do this very highly sophisticated, complex work. We do not have enough engineers that can look specifically into newer technologies such as artificial engineering as well. And this is something that NASSCOM, India's trade body, has themselves highlighted time and again. So this is going to be a big concern in terms of employability of these young graduates.